Jonathan and Drew Scott share messages for their father's 91st birthday. HGTV stars Jonathan and Drew Scott shared messages for their father, Jim Scott's 91st birthday. On March 2, Jonathan Scott took to his Instagram account to share several pictures of his father. 91 and still kicking it old school. Love you, Dad. Now can you finally tell me where you're hiding the fountain of youth? Wrote Jonathan Scott in the post's caption. Drew Scott also uploaded an Instagram post wishing his father a happy birthday on March 2. Drew Scott included a photo that showed him posing with his father. As for a caption, he wrote, 91 years young. Happy day, Dad. Love ya. Jim Scott spoke about raising his sons in a January 2025 interview. Jim Scott and his wife, Joanne Scott, spoke about raising their sons, which also includes J.D. Scott, in a January 2025 interview with Drew and Jonathan magazine. Jim Scott shared that he was an instructor in Shotokan Karate and encouraged his children to practice the martial art. When the boys were 8, they wanted to join. I said if they started, they could not quit, said Jim Scott during the interview. They watched a number of classes and decided they wanted to join. Their older brother Daniel, J.D., was 10 and he had joined at 8. Over the next 10 years, all 3 boys earned black belts and became instructors at the dojo. Jim Scott also gave advice about parenthood. According to the father of 3, from the beginning of their lives, parent-child relationships are a work in progress. He also encouraged parents to keep interacting with your kids and looking for opportunities to talk about what they're interested in. To keep their attention, it shouldn't be a one-way conversation. That's when their eyes glaze over. Speak respectfully, with no shouting, and always take time to listen when they want to talk. If you feel the need to have a serious discussion, lead into the conversation with something less heavy, said Jim Scott to the publication. Drew Scott shared that he and his wife have a similar relationship as his parents. In a June 2023 interview with Drew and Jonathan magazine, alongside Jonathan Scott, Drew Scott referenced that he had his first child, Parker, whom he shares with his wife Linda Phan, when he was 44 years old. He noted that his father was also in his 40s when he and Jonathan Scott were born. In addition, Drew Scott mentioned that he and Phan had been together for 12 years before welcoming Parker. My parents had so many adventures before kids, whether it was overseas in Scotland or in the Rocky Mountains, which is similar to Linda and me, said Drew Scott in the 2023 interview. I think it can actually be a good thing to spend a lot of years truly connecting with and getting to know your partner, and that makes us stronger parents. Drew Scott shares the way his toddler's high chair inspired his parents' kitchen design. The Property Brothers renovated their parents' new Los Angeles home in September. The parents of Property Brothers, stars Drew and Jonathan Scott, have some cute inspiration for their new kitchen design. A YouTube video from the Scott brothers released on December 19 revealed details about their parents' renovated Los Angeles home, including the inspiration for the color of the kitchen cabinets. The high chair of Parker Scott, Drew Scott's 2-year-old toddler. You know where it came from? Drew Scott's mom, Joanne Scott, asked in the video. I know exactly where it came from, Drew Scott replied to his mom with a smile. Our little guy's high chair is this color and now it's your kitchen, and it's stunning, Drew Scott said. Drew Scott revealed that his mother picked the color, which appears to be a pale shade of green, after seeing it on Parker's high chair. It's a color he didn't think his mom would pick. I think it's gorgeous, and I never would have thought that you would have chosen a color like this, Drew Scott explained. I thought you would have tried to play a bit too safe, coming from that more of a ranch aesthetic. He, Parker Scott, inspired me, said Joanne Scott. There are plenty of family-inspired details in the newly renovated home. In the pantry, a wooden sign from Drew and Jonathan Scott's older brother J.D. Scott sits on display. Joanne Scott explained that when J.D. Scott was around the age of 10, he used a clothes hanger in fire to burn "I love you" onto the sign. Drew and Jonathan Scott revealed the new renovations to their mom and dad's home in the September/October issue of HGTV magazine. The Scott brothers explained they wanted to keep the ranch feel of the new home with the renovations. "We wanted our parents to feel just as much at home here as they did at their ranch in the Canadian Rocky Mountains, so we tailored the home perfectly to them," wrote Jonathan and Drew Scott in the magazine.